In the pitch-black night, an ambulance blared its siren as it carried an organ donor to the hospital. The body was in perfect condition for surgery. The records were clean, nothing unusual. But the sudden death of a young person still made the doctors suspicious. While preparing, their eyes stopped when they saw a tattoo on the person's wrist that was very familiar, like they had seen it somewhere before. In the end, the surgery was a success. The two doctors only lamented that this body was as hard as a steel plate, damaging many scalpels. Suddenly, the nurses rushed out screaming in panic. It turned out that the body that had just been operated on was burning to ashes. Meanwhile, the tattoo on the body's wrist was glowing brightly. This girl had just undergone a heart transplant so smoothly that even the doctors were surprised. She didn't feel like vomiting, nor was she in excruciating pain like people often describe. Wan Seo was calm as if nothing had happened, but this unexpected event also made the doctors a little uneasy. Wan Seo didn't care. She just asked to be discharged from the hospital immediately. Another strange thing was that a strange mark appeared on Wan Seo's hand. She guessed that it was probably a side effect of the surgery. After Wan Seo underwent a dangerous heart transplant, her father took care of her without sparing any money, even excessively. Her heart rate had only increased a little when her father panicked. Wan Seo only asked to practice taekwondo again like before, but her father absolutely refused. Her father only let her do light sports like Pilates. Meanwhile, at the cult's base, cult leader Jung Chun had just undergone a pancreas transplant. His daughter had already planned to divide the property because he was too old and it was unlikely that he would survive. Unexpectedly, as soon as she finished speaking, he woke up and was healthy. He even asked for grilled meat to ease his hunger. He also had a strange tattoo on his wrist. Wan Seo missed taekwondo, so she went to the martial arts class wearing her training clothes. But in the end, she just sat there watching her father teach kids. Seeing that Wan Seo was upset, her father only gave her some money to spend. She took advantage of the time when her father was busy talking to the landlord to show off to a kid, but she only turned around and kicked punching bag lightly and it was already crushed. She quickly blamed the kid. After school, Wan Seo went home. She was a little jealous when she saw her friends running around happily. Her phone had a text message from her father urging her to go home early. She was frustrated and tied her shoelaces tightly and ran up the hill. Her heart rate jumped to 120, then 150. Her father was busy teaching martial arts, so he didn't know anything. Wan Seo just ran. She ran so fast that she even passed the delivery guy on the motorbike. The more she ran, the more refreshed she felt. She jumped up into the sky without realizing that the tattoo on her arm had a few short lines around it. Wan Seo's body was weightless. She was full of energy when she was blocked by a truck. Wan Seo braked hard. She almost knocked it over. She ran to the other side in panic to help it up. On the other side, the daughter pretended to be concerned about her father's health, but he fed her food to cover her mouth. Even when he was on a ventilator and in a coma, he could still hear everything. She called him a bastard. Dr. Song said that her father's body was as healthy as a normal person. The donor must have had a very special physique. At this time, a mysterious person was watching the clip of Wan Seo running uphill like a superhero over and over again. Wan Seo's father still didn't know anything. He told her to walk slowly. She obediently listened, but as soon as her father left, she happily ran to the slope the day before. The mysterious person secretly filmed him, but was caught red-handed by Wan Seo. It turned out that she had discovered that this uncle had been following her since last week. She had just twisted his hand when she suddenly saw the tattoo on his wrist. Ji-sun complained that Wan Seo was too strong. She had just lightly grabbed his hand and it almost broke his hand. He revealed that they both had superpowers. Seeing that Wan Seo did not believe him, Ji-sun drank up all the water in one gulp and then blew it, causing a whirlwind to pass through the house across the street. It turned out that he had just had a lung transplant. According to Ji-sun, organ donors can donate 6 organs: heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and cornea. That means that in addition to them, there are 4 more people who have superpowers. The next Superman has appeared. A handsome guy named Ki Dong has the superpower to control electronic devices. With just a snap of his fingers, he can turn off the entire TV, make drones fly around, or make the camera take continuous shots. He is especially into fashion. He changes his clothes constantly like a fashionista. He went to a game store and just snapped his fingers a few times and won the jackpot. A lot of money flowed into his pocket, so he continued shopping and bought a bunch of luxury branded goods. Meanwhile, Wan Seo broke the track record, making her opponents and the referees unable to believe their eyes. It turned out that she just wanted to get a new pair of shoes as a prize. By chance, the two met a woman named Son Neo. Son Neo had just had a kidney transplant not long ago. Ji-sun curiously asked to see Son Neo's hand, but there was no shape on her hand. When Son Neo sat down, they saw a circle on her back. It seemed like this was the person they were looking for. To make Son Neo trust him, Wan Seo told him about her superpower. Ji-sun then showed off his abilities, but then Son Neo said she had no abilities. After the surgery, she was only praised for being prettier. Ji-sung thought that when he found other people, Son Neo's superpowers would be revealed. At this time, the lights kept flashing. Ki-dong appeared and read out the exact biographies of each person and what organs they had. Then he introduced himself as Hwang Ki-dong, who had just had a corneal transplant. When people with tattoos appeared within a few kilometers, he would see the tattoos glow. Then he demonstrated his ability to control electrical appliances. Son Neo asked Ki-dong to be the team leader, but Ji-sung refused, because Ji-sung thought that Ki-dong used illegal means to get other people's personal information. So the two argued with each other, neither willing to give in. Son Neo suggested that since they had both received life from the same body, they should live as a family. Meanwhile, the other sect was preparing to hold a grand ceremony with unprecedented technology. 5 giant statues rose up and shot lightning. At this moment, the leader Jang Chun emerged from the ground. This red-robed man was Bung Chun, the leader of another sect. Bung Chun revealed that Jang Chun's daughter had promised to transfer followers to him for $450 each. If Jang Chun would transfer followers before Christmas, Bung Chun would pay $500 each. The two sect leaders cursed each other for a while. Then they grabbed each other's necks. When the tattoos on Jang Chun's arms changed, he began to gain the upper hand. The wrinkles and lips on his face gradually changed to the red-robed man. Bung Chun soon collapsed. It seemed that Bung Chun had aged a lot in an instant. Jang Chun placed his hand on the tree trunk. Immediately it withered, as if it had been dead for a long time. In the basement of the building, Jackson urged the workers to return to work soon. Worker Su Min complained about overtime and unsafe working conditions. Originally a loyal believer, when Su Min insulted the leader, Jackson angrily grabbed his neck. At this moment, another alarm sounded. It turned out that a worker had an accident at work. While everyone was not paying attention, Jackson placed his hand on the victim's wound. The tattoo on his hand immediately transformed. Soon, the other person stopped screaming. Meanwhile, the pain had moved to Jackson's back. Only when he drank a glass of water did the tattoo on his hand return to normal. Jang Chun's daughter told Dr. Song how terrifying her father's abilities were. Because Dr. Song had said that the donor had a special constitution, she decided to find other people who had received transplants from the same donor. Meanwhile, Wan Seo and Ji Sung are practicing playing the flute from afar. It turns out that today is the weekend, but Wan Seo has no friends to play with. She has a heart condition, so she has to take a year off from school, so she has lost all her friends. Ji Sung consoles her that people with superpowers are often lonely, so they have to unite to find the bad guy who wants to take their superpowers, but he doesn't know how to find the bad guy. Seon Yeo happily shows off that she has found her superpower. Then she puts 5 straws into 5 bottles of yogurt at the same time. At this time, the group receives a distress message from Ki-dong. It turns out that Ki-dong has been captured by the gangsters who manage the game shop because he dared to win the jackpot 11 times in a row. Ki-dong said he had superpowers, but they didn't believe him. Then Ji-sung appeared in time. Ji-sung rushed straight to save Ki-dong, but Ji-sung suddenly changed direction to find a toilet because he had a stomachache. Wan Seo and Son Neo stepped in and asked the others to let Ki-dong go. While they were arguing, Ji-sung stuck his head out and said he was out of paper. Seeing the others aggressively approaching, Wan Seo stuck a straw into Ji-sung's nose. Then a sneeze like a tornado blew the followers away. At this time, the cult members had arrived outside. They were surprised to see 4 people from Wan Seo's group running out in panic. The other 3 people climbed onto the yogurt cart for Wan Seo to push. The game store people and the cult members followed closely behind them. Wan Seo pushed the cart as if she was racing, but she couldn't cut the others in half. Ahead was a big road with dozens of lanes of cars. In the dangerous situation, Ki-dong snapped his fingers and turned on the red lights in both directions. So all 3 cars crossed the road safely. There was a sharp turn ahead, but Wan Seo didn't have time to see. So Wan Seo swung the car around but turned to one side. A spectacular turn helped them lose pursuers. At that moment, Wan Seo's father called again, causing her to almost drop her phone. When Wan Seo caught the phone, she realized that she had let go of the cart and it was rushing down the slope at a very high speed. Seeing that, Wan Seo immediately jumped towards the golf course net so that its thrust would help her catch up with cart. Wan Seo thought she was about to catch up, but the truck blocking the road forced her to turn into the tunnel. At this moment, the cart was about to crash straight into the wall. At the critical moment, Wan Seo caught up with the cart and saved everyone by a hair's breadth. But the people from the game store still caught up with them. Ji-sung threw yogurt at them, but it didn't work, so he thought of a way. He used his ability to blow them away, so they successfully lost the other people. The 4 of them rushed straight into the restaurant. That night after eating, Ji-sung and Ki-dong argued again. Ji-sung cursed Ki-dong as a criminal hacker. Ki-dong said that Ji-sung stole someone else's script to sell. Ji-sung angrily slapped Ki-dong, so Ki-dong caused the coin Sung bought to drop in value. Then Ki-dong Ki-dong said, "If I were like you, I would die." Hearing Ki-dong mention this, Son-neo was extremely angry with him. She defended Ji-sung. However, Ji-sung was not grateful and was a little angry at Son-neo and Won-seo. Ji-sung just wanted to fight Ki-dong. Ki-dong drove the car to block Ji-sung's way, but accidentally injured Son-neo, so she left in frustration. The group was considered to have disbanded. That evening, Won-seo's father found Won-seo sulking in the gym. The punching bag was in pieces. He was angry and scolded her for not telling him where she was all day, causing him to have to look for her everywhere until now. Won-seo burst into tears and said that she had no friends. Everyone hated her. She felt suffocated because her father controlled her. She said she didn't need him. Her father couldn't stay angry for long. He quickly chased after her. Meanwhile, Son-neo visited a firefighter who was in a coma in the hospital. Son-neo was about to leave quietly when his wife called her back. It turned out that when Son-neo was terminally ill, she had tried to do something stupid. Because of Son-neo's stupid actions, a firefighter died. The soldier was unconscious. Son-neo knelt down to apologize and promised to do many good deeds to make up for her mistakes. But the firefighter's wife could not forgive Son-neo. She wished that Son-neo would die and not affect anyone. Son-neo cried bitterly in regret. She could not change anything. Meanwhile, Jang Chun's daughter was watching the video of Won-seo's group using their superpowers. She ordered Dr. Song to research this and develop a new medicine. It was time for Korea to win the Nobel Prize in Medicine. Won-seo asked Ji-sung if he was not looking for the bad guy anymore. He said he had found him, and that was himself. His illness had made his soul ugly, causing him to have a habit of cursing others and being jealous of talented people. Even his superpowers were useless, more like powerless. Meanwhile, Jackson reported to his superiors about work safety issues, but his superiors did not care. The superiors said that if they did it right, they would never get the job done. If they just believed in the higher power, there would be no safety equipment. At the same time, Won-seo made an appointment to meet Son-neo and Ki-dong, but they no longer wanted to be heroes. Son-neo was haunted by the sins she had committed. She thought that she was not qualified to be a hero. Ki-dong was also frustrated and asked to disband the group. Suddenly, a loud explosion rang out from the direction of the cult's building. It turned out that there had been a serious electrical accident in the basement. Jackson disobeyed his superiors. He immediately urged the workers to evacuate, but he himself did not escape but rushed in to search for the victims. It turned out that Jackson was looking for Suman. At this time, Suman was trapped inside and could not get out. Jackson had no choice but to take his hat and bang on the door. At this moment, Won-seo appeared and kicked the door. Then she kicked away the gas canisters that were flying towards her. But the door inside was extremely sturdy. She kicked with all her might but couldn't open it. Suddenly, music blared from the speakers. It turned out that Ki-dong had appeared. With just a snap of Ki-dong's fingers, the door opened. But the smoke inside made them not dare to rush in. Luckily, Ji-sung arrived in time. He easily entered the smoke-filled room. However, the smoke made him unable to see anything. Ki-dong snapped his fingers, causing Suman's phone to ring. Then Ki-dong told Ji-sung to come in. Then the two argued again. When Son-neo couldn't take it anymore, she screamed. Only then did the two of them stop. Won-seo inserted a tube into Ji-sung's mouth to get some oxygen and pulled him inside. The others outside waited anxiously. Ki-dong kept snapping his fingers to make Suman's phone ring. Finally, the two of them got Suman out, but he was no longer breathing. To everyone's surprise, Jackson used his superpower to heal Suman. When Suman just woke up, Jackson also collapsed and vomited a mouthful of blood. Hearing Jackson say he wanted to drink water, Son-neo immediately told Ki-dong to get water. While worrying about Jackson, Son-neo accidentally held his and Ji-sung's hands at the same time. Suddenly, the tattoo on her back glowed. Then, from the tattoo on Ji-sung's hand, black veins appeared and extended to Son-neo's hand. When it extended to the tattoo on Jackson's hand, he immediately jumped up. They let go of each other's hands and the tattoos quickly returned to normal. It turned out that this was Son-neo's superpower. At this time, the basement was about to explode, so the group hurriedly took Suman and escaped. Suddenly, Son-neo remembered that Ki-dong had gone to get water and had not returned yet, so the three of them handed Suman over to Ji-sung and they ran to find Ki-dong. At this time, Ki-dong was lost in the maze-like streets. He snapped his fingers to find a way out but caused an electrical short circuit. Ji-sung helped Suman to a safe place and then he immediately returned to the basement. When the three people of Won-seo's group were at a loss and did not dare to enter the toxic smoke, Ji-sung appeared with protective glasses. Ji-sung walked in and quickly found Ki-dong holding his nose and holding his breath. Ki-dong panicked and said no, no, but Sung still touched Ki-dong's lips to give him oxygen. The five of them went out to drink and celebrate. It turned out that Jackson had received a liver transplant. His superpower was to heal common injuries, but illness was a matter of luck. The pain of the sick person would be transferred to him, but he only needed to drink a glass of water to be fine. Son-neo exclaimed that that was what a hero should be, but Jackson said that she was the hero who saved his life. The sentence moved her to tears. superpowers. Ki-dong was confused every time he met Ji-sung's eyes. Sonyo suggested giving each person a nickname like in a foreign superhero movie. On a happy occasion, Sonyo asked Ki-dong to snap his fingers to play music. Won-so made Ji-sung act out a scene of sucking a piece of meat into his mouth. That night, Won-so happily ran home and found her father busy fixing the car. He was still worried about her like always, but she also understood that her father only loved her too much. Her father was afraid that she would die of heart disease like her mother and grandmother. The next day, Jackson accidentally met Jang Chun in the elevator. Jang Chun discovered and asked about tattoo on Jackson's hand. Jackson said that he suddenly got it after a liver transplant, but Jackson did not dare to reveal the matter of superpowers. Jang Chun examined the tattoo on Jackson's hand very carefully. It seemed like he realized something. Unexpectedly, Jang Chun's daughter took action first. She had someone kidnap Jackson for Dr. Song to study. Dr. Song intended to anesthetize Jackson for a biopsy. However, they used anesthetic doses that exceeded the prescribed limit and still failed to anesthetize him. She immediately ordered them to perform a biopsy without anesthesia. At this moment, Jang Chun appeared. It turned out that Dr. Song had secretly reported to Jang Chun. Jang Chun strangled Jackson to take his life force, but it didn't work like every other time. But no matter how hard Jang Chun tried, it still didn't work. Jang Chun then strangled a doctor to test his ability again. In an instant, the young doctor turned into a mummy. Jang Chun's daughter became a few years younger. Jang Chun realized that he couldn't absorb the life force of someone with superpowers, so Jang Chun immediately ordered Dr. Song to perform a liver transplant from Jang Chun into him. Jang Chun's daughter was furious because the plan was ruined. She immediately sent someone to capture all the people with superpowers. Meanwhile, they were using their superpowers to help people. Ki-dong kept the traffic light green for the blind old man to cross the street safely. Ji-sung blew air to help the old woman pull her cart up the hill, but soon they were all kidnapped one by one. Won-so's father saw the men in black coming to arrest her, so he stood up to protect her, making her laugh. As expected, he only brought shame to his family, so Won-so secretly helped her father beat them up. When her father returned, she pretended to cheer, but without her help, he was beaten continuously, so Won-so had to rush in and beat the men in black to a pulp. Meanwhile, the other three people were being held very tightly. Ki-dong's fingers were locked. Ji-sung was drugged and fell into a coma. Jang Chun's daughter warned Dr. Song that he was on the wrong side, but he just sneered and told her to wait and see. She entered the room, but didn't see her father. Instead, there was a handsome young man. He called her his daughter, but she still couldn't believe it. When she saw the tattoo on his wrist, she was so dizzy that she couldn't stand. Jang Chun was very satisfied with this body, but suddenly, Jang Chun felt a sharp pain in his head, and a strange door appeared. Passing through that door, Jang Chun saw a mark carved on the stone door. The tattoo on his hand was part of that mark. It glowed brightly like molten lava. Then a figure appeared, stretched out his two hands and dragged him inside. He panicked and used all his strength to fight back. Finally, he pulled his hand out and smashed the illusion. The next day, the sect held an important ceremony. Many followers came. Among them was the firefighter's wife. Jang Chun asked his daughter to hand over the remaining transplant recipients so he could become a real god. She said she didn't know where they were, but her lie was discovered by him. Jang Chun personally went to the place where Ji-sung's group was being held. They were beaten to a pulp. Won-so kept texting the group, but no one answered. In the cell, Ki-dong tried to wiggle his toes until he got a cramp. He finally succeeded and the door opened. But it turned out that the others had come to take him away. Ji-sung was still fast asleep and Sonyo was as useless as ever. Ki-dong snapped his feet and sent a text message to Won-so asking for help along with the address. Then he conveniently opened the door for Sonyo and Ji-sung. When entering the operating room, Ki-dong panicked and begged them not to take his eyes. But Jang Chun just wondered why not transplant all the parts at once for convenience. Dr. Song explained that it would be better to do the surgery one at a time. Won-so wanted to go save her friends, but her father stopped her. It turned out that he thought his daughter was being bullied by some bad friends, to the point that her newly bought shoes were already trashed. He asked her if that was the reason she wanted to learn taekwondo to fight against those bullies. He kept crying and jumping around. Won-so had to tell the truth that her friend was being held by the bad guys, so her father waited for her to go save her friend. Meanwhile, Ji-sung was woken up by Sonyo, but he was still confused and didn't understand what was happening. He didn't worry about running away, but instead went to find a toilet. After the cornea transplant, Jang Chun took over Ki-dong's superpower. But during the surgery, Ki-dong struggled and resisted so much that they could only transplant one eye, so Ki-dong was still lucky. Ki-dong begged Jackson to cure his eye, but Jackson was helpless because he couldn't. At this time, the ceremony of the sect was very lively and noisy. It was no different from a variety show. However, the disciples seemed very enthusiastic. The MC called for everyone to welcome the appearance of the sect leader, so Jang Chun Chun. The chair slowly floated up. Everyone was silent when they did not see the unfamiliar sect leader Jiang Chun. Instead, the person who appeared was a young man with an arrogant face. Jiang Chun snapped his fingers, causing all the disciples' phones to show his image. I, Jiang Chun, promised that I would return in a young body. Those who believe and follow me will be my subjects. Seeing that everyone was still shocked, Jiang Chun immediately flew up and punched the wall with a picture of the old sect leader. Then Jiang Chun flew back to his original place, surprising everyone. But that was not all. Jiang Chun went down and touched the legs of a paralyzed follower. In an instant, his legs recovered and he was able to stand up. Jiang Chun passed by a sick girl who had to inhale oxygen from a tank. With just one touch of his hand, she was cured and was able to remove the breathing tube. Next, Jiang Chun treated a man with burns all over his body, making his skin smooth again. The scars were transferred to Jiang Chun. Witnessing the continuous miracles, the disciples cried and knelt down and bowed to Jiang Chun. From then on, the prestige of Jiang Chun in the sect rose to an unprecedented level. Everyone worshipped Jiang Chun. On this occasion, Jiang Chun also changed the sect's logo to the mark he had seen in the illusion. Meanwhile, Wan Seo and her father had gone to the place where the others were being held. It turned out that this place was right below the sect's hall. At this time, Jiang Chun snapped his fingers, causing the chair to slowly slide down and accidentally bumped into Wan Seo and her father. Jiang Chun immediately recognized the two people. Wan Seo was confused and didn't know who this person was. When Wan Seo saw the tattoo on his arm, she immediately kicked him away. This surprised her father. Jiang Chun's arm was broken, but he only needed to drink a sip of water for it to miraculously recover. Wan Seo's father guessed that this was the guy who bullied her, so he took off his shirt and was ready to fight Jiang Chun. Jiang Chun didn't beat around the bush and said that he needed Wan Seo's heart. Wan Seo's father angrily rushed over but was held back by Wan Seo. At this moment, Son Neo and Ji Sung arrived. The two ignored Jiang Chun and innocently got to know and talk to Wan Seo's father. Jiang Chun angrily introduced himself as the immortal savior. Son Neo realized that he was the villain they were looking for. He had a tattoo on his arm. Wan Seo's father rushed to hit Jiang Chun, but Jiang Chun threw him away, so Wan Seo had to rush to help her father. Wan Seo immediately took off her coat to avenge her father. The two rushed at each other. It seemed that Wan Seo was a little stronger, but Jiang Chun had an immortal body. He didn't know what pain was. After defeating Wan Seo, Jiang Chun turned to mock Ji Sung. But then, Jiang Chun was blown away by Ji Sung. It turned out that the three of them joined hands and joined forces. But before they could rejoice, Jiang Chun jumped up and cursed Ji Sung. Jiang Chun angrily went to get some water to drink to restore his strength, but was interrupted by Ji Sung. Jiang Chun angrily rushed to hit Wan Seo, then knocked Ji Sung unconscious. When Jiang Chun placed his hand on Son Neo's tattoo, the images in the illusion appeared in his head. He understood that she had the ability to transfer one person's power to another. Jiang Chun was persuading her to cooperate with him when the lights suddenly flashed. Ki Dong and Jackson appeared. Wan Seo took the opportunity to punch Jiang Chun into a chair. The five joined hands to heal Jackson, but the price they paid was that the tattoos on their arms faded. Jiang Chun revealed that there were two things he had longed for his whole life. One was youth. Before Jiang Chun could continue, Ji Sung woke up and shouted loudly, saying that the second was that he wanted to become a god, right? Jackson realized that everything Jiang Chun said was a lie, yet he had believed it so much that he had abandoned his family to devote all his strength and love to Jiang Chun. It turned out that he had been deceived. Seeing Jiang Chun rushing over, the four joined forces to help Wan Seo fight him. But at this time, her strength had decreased, so she was beaten up by him. Suddenly, a giant statue fell down, almost crushing Jiang Chun. Ki Dong snapped his fingers, causing the statues hanging from the ceiling to fall, forcing Jiang Chun to struggle to avoid them. But in the end, Jiang Chun was still hit repeatedly and crushed by the rocks. Jiang Chun got angry and jumped up, causing the debris to fly everywhere, causing a terrible explosion. This led to a series of explosions. The giant statues cracked and fell apart, revealing the frames that emitted sparks at each other. Seeing this, Ki Dong immediately remembered the time he was electrocuted when he was young. Jackson was worried that the overload would cause the tanks to explode. Then, everyone would die, including the tens of thousands of believers above. But Jiang Chun didn't care about their lives. As long as he became a god, he would find countless new believers. Ji Sung and Jackson couldn't withstand a single blow from Jiang Chun. Wan Seo was punched by Jiang Chun until her mouth bled. The tattoo on her arm faded a little more. Son Neo decided to surrender. She was ready to transfer all their power to him, but it turned out to be a trap. The five of them silently held hands. Then Son Neo grabbed Jiang Chun's hand and stole his power and transferred it to Wan Seo. Jiang Chun managed to push Son Neo away, but the tattoo on his hand had already faded. Meanwhile, Wan Seo was full of power. Wan Seo rushed to hit Jiang Chun continuously. However, the electric sparks accidentally gave Jiang Chun power. He rose up to fight Wan Seo. Unfortunately for Jiang Chun, Wan Seo was too strong at the moment. She was almost invincible. In In the end, Jang Chun was defeated. Before the group could be happy, something happened. The overloaded electric sparks were damaging the building, making it collapse at any moment. When everyone was helpless, Ki-dong decided to take action. He asked everyone to transfer their power to him. Ki-dong overcame the trauma of the electric shock accident when he was young. He recklessly rushed into the statue to turn on the circuit breaker. In a split second, the entire building was cut off, then the entire city. When he was thrown away, the lights came back on, so he prevented a terrible disaster. The two guys happily high-fived each other. When everyone held hands to return their power to each other, Jang Chun suddenly intervened to grab the power. Won-seo tried her best, but she couldn't pull his hand away. At this time, Won-seo called her father, so her father rushed forward and kicked Jang Chun away. Then he hugged her. At this time, Won-seo took the opportunity to return the power to everyone. Won-seo's father was about to hit Jang Chun to avenge his daughter when he saw that Jang Chun had returned to his old form. It turned out that Jang Chun's power had been taken away by 5 people. Ki-dong immediately snapped his fingers, and the chair lifted Jang Chun up so that all the followers could see his miserable appearance. While they were waiting for Won-seo's father to get car, Won-seo thought of a name for the group. Son Neo said that in the movie, superhero groups all have names. Their group of 5 people should be named High Five. Not long after, the firefighter miraculously recovered, making his wife cry with joy. Of course, it was Jackson and his teammates who took action. The movie ends here. Thank you for watching, goodbye, and see you again in the next videos.